Hey, what's up, guys? This is Martin from Trading Today, and today's video I'm going to go over the overall health of the stock market. I'm going to go over employment numbers or the job report and how it's going to affect the stock market in a good way. And I'm going to let you guys know in this video. All right, let's get started. So today we have the jobs report. Very, very important. Every single month, the first Friday of the month, they go over the previous month's job report. So today's job report was based on what happened in April. So I did mention this in a prior video, is that as long as we stayed between consensus between 145 and 255, we're going to be okay. So the actual number was 164,000 non-farm payrolls for the month of April, which is good. Again, there's a huge concern of inflation getting out of control, and that's the reason why a number between in this consensus is a good thing. Anything above that, anything above 255,000, there's a little bit of worry of concern for sure in terms of, I guess you could say, inflation. Now, the unemployment rate, again, stayed above consensus, but on the consensus, 3.9 through to 4.1%. Right, it's at 3.9%, which is where we at. So that's good. And also the average hourly earnings was actually at consensus, it was 0.2. Actually, yeah, it was below that, was 0.1%, which is actually a good thing because if average hourly earnings are going up really fast, that is definitely a sign of inflation getting a little bit out of control. So that it was actually a 0.1%, that is good because again, the reason why we had this nasty sell-off was because of the jobs numbers, and the average hourly earnings was above consensus. So again, because that is inflationary, guys. Again, because if inflation gets out of control, the Federal Reserve may have to step up their interest rate, and they may have to step up in terms of raising interest rate faster than normal, which again could affect the whole stock market and the general economy and cause a recession. So things are looking good. Things are looking good, and because of that, because of these numbers, we're all in line with consensus. Excuse me. The market, I believe, is going to go in its next move. Now, the other thing that I like about what's happening in the market is we don't have no more geopolitical risks with North Korea. You know, North Korea is already working with South Korea an agreement so they can stop, building their nuclear weapons as long as the United States doesn't invade them. So that agreement is gonna pretty much turn out. I don't see anything wrong going with that agreement. I know President Trump's gonna, have a meeting with, North Korean leader. So I think everything is gonna work out. The only geopolitical issues out there, I guess you could say, or any issues that it's affecting the whole market as a whole is trade war with China and possibly other countries in Europe, especially when it comes down to the steel and aluminum tariffs. But as of now, that's China and the United States are working together. They are negotiating, and China has mentioned that they are actually they do agree with a couple terms, but not everything. But I feel like there's going to be a middle ground. I feel there's going to be a win-win situation for both countries, for the United States and China. Again, the U.S. just wants a better deal. That's what we're looking for. We want to kind of eliminate our trade deficit, which is, I believe, I think $200 billion. Which is not good for the economy. It's not good for the U.S. When we have such a large trade deficit. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. So again, I really like how it looks. So definitely, if you look at the technical side of it, it is holding higher lows. So it did hold this level. If you look at the 200-day moving average, it's looking pretty good. 200-day moving average is actually holding. So the market is looking pretty good. As long as there's nothing out of the picture that gets crazy. Any outside news, anything that's out of nowhere, we're gonna definitely see another rally. And again, that's my opinion, guys. Just keep that in mind. But I'm looking at the stock market as a whole, the health, the numbers, the Federal Reserve, the job report. Everything's looking in line for the next move. So the next thing that I want to cover is technology. Again, technology represents the biggest sector in the S&P 500. If technology moves, the whole market moves. That's pretty much where it really comes down to. So, and if you look at it, the Nasdaq, it is poised to make its next move. Again, it did held higher lows. It's above the 50-day. We had some decent volume today, and is looking to make a move. Now, what's really moving the Nasdaq or the technology sector, again, which is the biggest sector in the S&P 500, is the FANGs, specifically Apple. Apple is just crushing it. Now, there was I believe, Warren Buffett, which is, I believe, the third biggest shareholder of Apple, mentioned that he bought more shares. He believes the company is worth a lot more based on just earnings and the amount of money and cash flow they're making. And he actually mentioned this. Apple is actually making almost twice as much profit as a second biggest company, which is kind of insane if you think about it. Apple is making almost as much, twice the amount of profit as a second biggest company. So now owning Apple, and I guess in his view, is almost dumb, I guess you could say, because Apple is just making a whole bunch of money, and I believe they have like over $200 billion in cash just sitting there, which I really believe they're going to start reinvesting in it. And especially now that they save money on the corporate tax cut, they just got insane loads of money, which I believe they're going to be buying back more shares. So everything looks really good. If you look at Apple, it just had two bounces and two tests on the 200-day and literally broke to all-time highs. So right now, Apple is trading all-time highs at 184.25. And I really see this moving because Apple is definitely leading the market. Now, again, as a reminder, guys, Apple is the biggest holding in the S&P 500. And let me show you guys that. So Apple being part of the tech sector, it's moving pretty much the market. So that is good because if Apple moves, the whole market moves. So I want to make sure that makes sense, especially when it comes to technology. So let me put SPY is the S&P 500 ETF, and let's look at it. The top biggest holdings in the S&P 500. It's Apple. 4% is 4% of the S&P index, which is, and if you look at it here, it's $10 billion, billion dollars or more. Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and then Berkshire Hathaway. So if you look at it, the four biggest holdings in the S&P 500 are technology: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook. Now let's look at Facebook. Facebook is making a move. And Facebook, again, looks poised to make a move. And if you look at the chart, above his 200-day, above his 50-day, and above his 90 MA. I already reported earnings, and after this whole fiasco right here of the whole British Analytica, again, at the end of the day, the bottom line is what matters. So none of this reflected on the earnings report that happened last week on April 25th. So things are looking good. Things are looking good for the market. So one other thing that I really like, another stock, which again, it kind of almost gives you a telltale that things are looking good in terms of the Chinese-U.S. relationship, is BABA, because BABA is a huge Chinese play. So today they had their earnings, and look at this, humongous volume. There are people buying big on BABA, and the whole reason BABA had a nasty fall was because of the whole tariff situation between China and the United States. So this whole sell-off right here, volatility, tested the 200-day, was because of that. Earnings came in, numbers are looking good, humongous volume today. So I really like BABA. It kind of gives you a little telltale that there are some investors out there, smart money, does see the U.S. and China working their trade disagreements and coming on consensus and figuring things out for a win-win situation. So things are looking good. This is definitely giving us a telltale that there's somebody who's betting big that everything's going to work out between the United States and China. So I really like that. So because of this, again, the Apple, the FANGs, so again, Facebook looking good. Let's look at Amazon. Amazon bouncing, holding its 90 EMA. Then we got Netflix. Netflix holding a 90 EMA, bouncing on the 50-day moving average. And then we got Google. Google making higher highs, higher lows. I think we have definitely all the, a recipe for a pretty decent move. So, guys, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you guys. Hopefully that made sense. Things are looking good. I'm happy because we've had this almost 3 months worth of insane volatility. Actually, let's put it more like, well, we had February, March, and April, 3 months worth of insane volatility, which, if you look at the VIX, VIX is pretty much almost trading at its lows, which is good because it just shows that the fear has almost left the market. So I'm happy about that. There was a little bit of a buy-in, which is a little interesting. I just noticed that today, but overall, definitely the fear, as it looks like, has left the market, which is good because it just shows that investors are more confident and they're not selling or selling on, I guess, on fear and those type of things. So they're just the market is starting to smooth out. So again, we had this nasty volatility after the sell-off in May. Again, that was after the jobs report. So and then everything else, we have this nasty volatility, but things are starting to pretty much come down. So things are looking good, guys. Again, all I'm looking at now is, for next week. Again, we still have another week and a week and a half of earnings, and I really think the market is going to react pretty good after that. So hope you guys learned something from this video, guys. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and you guys will hear from me soon. Have a good one, guys.